Namaskar. Good morning. Welcome to second day of 3 days online training program on telecommunication, radio and social media in disaster management, jointly organized by NIDM and Department of Telecommunication, Ministry of Telecommunication. Myself, Dr. Ajit Kaur, young professional, GMR division, NIDM, and I will be the moderator of today's webinar. Yesterday, inaugural session was graced by Shri Chandrasekhar, DDG, DOT, and Professor Surya Prakash, Head GMRD Division, NIDM, and Shri SS Jain, Director, DM Division of Department of Telecommunication, Mr. Raju Thapa, Young Professional, NIDM, and myself delivered lecture in the technical session. Professor Surya Prakash highlighted that India's zero casualty approach to managing extreme weather event is a major contribution to the implementation of the Sendai framework and the reduction of loss of life from such events. Shri Chandrasekhar, DDG of Telecommunication, highlighted that the information and communication technologies plays a significant role in the disaster prevention, mitigation, response and recovery. Timely, predictable, and effective information is much needed by the government agency and other humanitarian actors involved in rescue operation and decision-making processes. Sri S.H. Jain gave a detailed presentation on the standard operating procedure for telecommunication services for responding to disaster, which has a mission to minimize the impact of disaster on life, property, environment, and the economy through prompt provision and restoration of telecommunication services in the disaster affected areas. And I talked about the three international frameworks, that is Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction, SDG Sustainable Development Goals, Paris Agreement, and Prime Minister 10-point agenda. These international agreements should not be seen in isolation. A sustainable development need to be disaster resilient and be adaptive to climate change impact. Keeping this in mind, the revised plan has put special emphasis consideration to PM 10-point agenda on disaster risk reduction initiated by Shri Modi ji, Prime Minister of India, during Asian Ministerial Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction in November 2016. This will help all the concerned stakeholders in the central government as well as in the state and UTs in striving to achieving the national goals. Mr. Raju Thapa talked about the basics of early warning and communication in different standard operating procedures. Before starting today's technical session, I would request all the participants to raise your question in Q&A window. We want this training program to be a two-way conversation rather than a one-way. So actively participate raising your question. We will try to take as many as questions possible after each presentation. Disaster management is the one which plan to reduce the vulnerability and impact of disaster. Social media is a tool which can reach millions with a second help both before and after disaster occur. The social media enables to quick response and rescue measures and help in adapting to vulnerable situation. To talk in this subject in more detail, we have with us Mr. Anil Kathat, young professional, GMR division. He is postgraduate in geology with over 8.5 years of experience in the field of landslide hazard management and disaster management. Prior to joining NIDM, he has worked with some of the prestigious organizations such as UNDP, NIUA, and CSIR, and he penned 20 research papers on various aspects of landslide hazard mitigation and management. Inter alia contributed in drafting the energy engineering guidelines on landslide mitigation measures for Indians road. I pass on stage to you, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ajit, for the introduction. Can I get the author to share my screen? I'm not able to share.
Now, sir.
Yes.
You can share your PPT.
My PPT is visible.
It's uploading, sir.
Please inform me when it's visible.
Okay, sir.
A very good morning to all the participants. Today I will be discussing on the role of social media in disaster management.
Anil sir,
Yeah.
kindly try to share it once again, sir. I think it has stuck.
Oh, okay. Give me a couple of seconds. Well,
Yes, sir. Now it is visible.
okay, thank you. So before discussing the topic which has given to me, the role of social media in disaster management, as National Institute of Disaster Management has been mandated under Section 42 of Chapter 7 of Disaster Management Act 2005 for a number of responsibilities, and under that mandate, one uh, of the mandate is to enhance the capacity of people to disseminate knowledge or any information related to disaster and their. So in pursuance of that mandate, it is my responsibility to remind you all that our fight against COVID-19 is still on. We are gradually coming to our old routine, but we need not to forget that there is no vaccine, no drug to counter COVID-19. So for carelessness, and I, on behalf of National Institute of Disaster Management, request you all to kindly follow all the precautionary measures for COVID-19. Wear mask, use sanitizer whenever you are outdoor. Avoid touching frequently your eyes, nose, mouth, as well as maintain social distancing, and also keep your surrounding clean. And be a warrior to fight against the current crisis and endeavor to make the nation resilient to it. So coming back to my talk on role of social media in disaster management, this diagram is taken from the document titled Human Cost of Disaster, an overview of last 20 years from 2000 to 2019. It is of UN Office for Disaster Risk Reduction and UN Office for Disaster Risk Reduction recently released this document during the International Day for Disaster that was on 13th of October 2020. And according to this report, India with 321 reported disasters stand third after China and America for the period of 2000 to 2019 in terms of number of disasters. These disasters cost India a large number of precious lives and huge monetary losses. Some of the mega disasters of India which were included in the document are like quake of 2001, tsunami of 2004. And according to this report, flood are the most common type of disaster, accounting around 44% of total events. And India is the second most affected country by flood. It experienced an average of 17 floods event in every year and had a lot of more than 350 million people affected due to floods every year in India. So this shows the degree of vulnerability of India for disasters. As I mentioned, that India is one of the high prone countries in the world. In our country, disaster of every name or fame can be found throughout the history of India, like Malpa landslide of 1998, Orissa super cyclone of 1999, again Gujarat earthquake that was also included in the report of UN. tsunami 2004, Ghana tragedy 2000, and so on. Every year, at least one catastrophic event occurred in some part of nation. In last few years, our many states are facing the havoc from recurring floods in monsoon season. This disastrous event incurred enormous loss of life, economy, and devastation to our ecosystem. According to a study, on an average of about 2% of India's GDP is lost to adverse impact of disaster. And being a developing nation, disaster also hamper the socio-economic growth progress of our country. Further, with changing climatic conditions, the intensity and frequency of these catastrophic events will raise, especially those associated with weathers. Rapid urbanization will further put more number of people at the window of disaster risk. So, a tool that can help us to reach to a large number of people, to sensitize them, to to enhance their awareness about the risk of a disaster in their particular geographical area. What are the precautionary measures to be taken if any, in case any of the catastrophic event happens? Our platform that can help our response team, NDRF, SDRF, and other NGOs to identify the people that are in need of help during any crisis situation. We need a tool or platform like social media for quick dissemination of ground realities and to cut down the response time. In today's techno-savvy, social media has redefined the mean of communication. Messaging, social network insights have made it possible with a large number of people anywhere on earth in a go. It is an efficient, easy way to keep in touch and impart information, particularly in time of the crisis or any emergency situation. Social media in various aspects of emergency awareness and preparedness, connect, discuss, and share knowledge in specific fields. It also allows people who are recovering from disaster to rapidly connect with needed whatever the resources they need. To combat the impact of disaster, India has taken a number of interventions, right from High Power Committee in 1999 that also led the platform for enactment of our Disaster Management Act 2005, and that shift the focus from relief-centric approach towards holistic preparedness, prevention, and mitigation one. That also it institutionalized the disaster management framework in India at all level, from national to state and district level. Apart from that, National Disaster Management Policy of 2009 and a National Disaster Management Plan 2016 and revised one in 2019. So a number of interventions were taken at national level to combat the impact, adverse impact of the disaster. Carrying all this legacy ahead, our Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, during the 7th Asian Minister Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction in New Delhi, that was held in the year 2016, conferred the political commitment of the government of India and announced 10-point agenda on disaster risk reduction, which is a blend of all the major international guidelines, agreements such as Sendai Framework, Sustainable Development Goals, and Paris Agreements. The 10-point agenda injected a holistic approach in coherence with all these international guidelines, agreements in the disaster management framework, which provide directions to address all the unprecedented challenges and mitigate the adverse impact of disaster on communities and help in growth of the country. The point 7 of 10-point agenda exhorted to utilize the opportunity that is provided by social media or beside mobile technology in the field of disaster management. So, the importance of social media platform in disaster management field. Here are certain characteristics of social media. It encompasses a wide variety of content formats that include text, video, photographs, audio, PowerPoint, and so on. Many social media make use of all these options by allowing more than one content or alternative. It also allows interaction to cross one or more platforms through social sharing, emails, and so on. It also involves a participatory approach where different participants can create or comment on social media network. Information can be quickly disseminated. Communication can between one-to-one or one-to-many or many-to-many with the help of this social media platform during any disaster management, during any disaster situation. Communication can be done in real time through social media. It takes place via a computer, tablet, or our smartphone. Real-time online events can be created that can be used later on in offline interaction mode also. About the role of social media can play in the field of disaster management. So it can help in quick dissemination of information, quick dissemination of whatever the ground realities are to a wider population at a single go. The social media tools aid in locating the affected people in any disaster situation, and also in two-way interaction between victim and our response or rescuing teams. Social media also make relief operation more effective and timely by facilitating various organizations that are working in the field of disaster management in raising relief material and money for the cause of managing disaster. Relevant or concerned disaster management authority can get information regarding any disaster situation that have occurred in their respective geographical area, geographical region, and therefore can aid in taking appropriate measure by disaster management or authority to reduce the impact of that event. This can also be used for collection of data, updating alerts, and notification regarding the current situation of disaster. The tool of social media can be helpful in all phases of disaster management. It can aid in preparing the communities for any unpleasant event by providing better understanding of risk associated with the event, as well as what are the precautions measures that should be adopted by the community to combat that event. It can also aid in quick response, quick rescue measures, helping the disaster managers to cut down the response time, which is critical in managing any disaster situation. Like during the Kashmir flood of 2014, an automated SMS service was introduced by Indian Army and the in collaboration with Twitter for rescue operation. Similarly, in the of Kedarnath City of 2013, social media platform help in locating safe spot that was used by the stranded by the tourists. There were stand in during that crisis. A safety check feature of social media platform were also used to notify their friends, families that they are safe, as well as to connect and extend support to each other. So these are some of the advantages, the role of social media that social media can play in the field of disaster management. Apart from there are many mobile apps that can be installed from your mobile app store, like disaster management app that is developed by National Disaster Management Authority, that can be used as a user guide to know about natural disaster, man-made disaster, disaster management cycle, what are the emergency kit for disaster management, and so on. It includes details of helpline centers with inbuilt call features. Mobile app also provide information related to certain disaster like earthquake, floods, landslides, cyclone, tsunami, urban floods, and so on. Apart from this, the National Disaster Management Authority has also devised a disaster management app for kids that can be used as a user guide for children to know about how to plan and how to be prepared during any disaster situation. What are the don'ts and do's of certain disaster, and how to recover and build or prepare a emergency kit for any disaster. It also this disaster management app for kit also include those of video for earthquakes, floods, landslide, and cyclone, and so on. Then there is also a school safety app that is developed by Geo Hazard Society to spread awareness and prepare prepare the schools for various disasters. There is also app on earthquake hazard so that is developed by jointly developed by National Disaster Management Authority and BMPC under the Ministry of Urban Affairs and Housing. There is also an app developed app from Indian Meteorological Department, Domini and Lightning app. The app is monitoring all lightning activities which are happening specifically for all over the India. Detailed description of instruction precaution is provided in apps while in lightning prone areas. What precaution we should adopt when we are in zone of lightning prone areas. So we all of you can go in your Google Play Store of your smartphone and can download all these apps and can try how useful. Media, apart from having a wide range of advantage, also has some disadvantage. It is a two-edged sword. Human has a tendency to make any news sensational, in which a basic information get misconstructed as a result of which rumor is created, misleading people with regard to ongoing activities during any crisis situation. In the process, there is loss of confidential information, and the victim may fail to be notified about revised safety measures. Government authorities or even lack of constant flow of communication can result in chaos and confusion, as we have seen in current COVID-19 situation. Social media was flooded with the news of COVID-19 that lacks any mechanism to check the credibility of those news. All the miscommunication have been trending on social media and have been circulated across the country. Messages were being forwarded in social media, like requesting people to stay indoor between a particular time. Also, like that declaring financial emergency in India under Article of 360 was also floating. The another news that was floating to the COVID-19 situation was deduction deduction in salary as well as in pension of government employees, and like Disaster Management Act prohibits any citizen apart from government to post any update related to COVID-19. This was also circulating widely during the time during this current COVID-19. Another one was information on chicken as a carrier of coronavirus that was widely disseminated, and as a result, the poultry industry suffered an huge monetary losses at almost 1.6 billion rupees per day, according to the All India Poultry Breeder Association. So every individual should realize that managing disaster is only restricted to a particular section or to only a disaster management authority, but we all have to contribute in it. Circulation of all such fake news, rumors, or misinformation will only hamper the management of a crisis, or it can also exaggerate the current crisis situation. So we should be, it should be our moral duty before forwarding any news, we should we should verify the credibility of the accuracy of that news. So, what are the legal recourse to combat such incidents, such as spread of fake news rumors? The Chapter 10 of Disaster Management Act, offense and penalties, have certain provision to punish culprits who spread such rumors or false news. There are in this chapter that highlighting the necessary action to be taken against the different type of offense. The section 50 of this chapter is about punishment for false warning. Whoever makes or circulate a false alarm or warning as to disaster or its severity or its magnitude, leading to panic or leading to panic among the community, it should be punishable with imprisonment, which may be extended to 1 year or be fined, or both can be applied. Legal option is Section 69A of the Information Technology Act 2000, which empowers central government to issue directions for blocking public access of any information through any computer resources. The government can issue direction to block or to remove objectionable content on social media or any other website. The concerned person authority failing to comply with the direction issued might be punished with imprisonment for a term of 7 years. Can also be liable for a particular amount of fine. The person can also be booked under IPC section 505 if his statements or statement conductive to public statement caused a public trouble with or with intent to cause fear or false alarm to the public or induced to commit an offense against the state or against the public calmness. This section has been done recently in the states like Kerala, Hyderabad, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra during recent COVID-19 situation. So how we can confront this fake news? Apart from legal, what we can do to tackle the fake news, how to check the authenticity of the information, what should be our role. Most of the time we forward the message we received in our social media platform, whether it is WhatsApp, Facebook, or whatever, without thinking about the authenticity of that information. Like during the initial phase of lockdown, there were chaos among the migrant workers because the information they didn't check check the accuracy of that information. They didn't cross-check it with the information or the guidelines that were released by the government, by the central government or by the state government. So the very first step is to cross-check the information we are receiving via social media and via any social media platform with a government website like Press Information Bureau. And if you see a shocking or particular engaging photo, video in any news or article, take a moment to determine whether the media pertains to the gist of the story or is intended slowly to incite an emotional reaction in the reader community. We can use services such as Google search image to conduct a reverse image search. This search will show where else on the web the image appears, and it will indicate whether the image has been tampered or not. For many video clips that go viral, there is additional video footage that either isn't shown or hasn't yet been published that tells a different story. Photos that support a certain stance or viewpoint or staged or digitally edited or misrepresent the true content of the information. In both instances, it can be difficult to tell what is real and what is unreal, what information is correct or what is false or rumor. Evaluate the trustworthiness of the immediate resource of image. The person who shared the news in the media and outlet where it was originally published, we have to evaluate its trustworthiness. Little time is spent doing research on such thing might show whether any of these sources has a particular agenda or whether the person who captured or shared the photos could be spread misinformation intentionally or unintentionally. The most important is that every individual, irrespective of its sector, its responsibility is accountable for the safety of the nation. It is our moral duty to work towards make India disaster resilient. Managing disaster is not only restricted to disaster management authorities, but every individual has to play its part in managing the crisis situation, in managing such emergency situation like this of COVID-19 pandemic. So our activities will be in harmony of the growth and settlement development of our countries, or rather spreading rumors. So what we can take from here in terms of the role of social media in disaster management. Uh, can play an important role in every phase, in pre-disaster phase, disaster or post-disaster phase of disaster management cycle. It can enhance preparedness by raising public awareness about risk of disaster in their particular geographical area. It can provide information, instructions with real-time alerts and warnings. Social media can facilitate in monitoring or early warning of disaster, locating people during disaster who needs any kind of help, identifying volunteers for responding during the disaster. It can help in the platform can help in relief, rehabilitation in every phase of disaster management cycle. So social media has become a valuable means of communication in many places that are affected by disaster, which allow people to keep in touch with family and friends, access important information. But social media cannot or should not exceed current approach for disaster management communication or replace existing infrastructure. But if managed, then social media platform is managed strategically, this platform can use to boost our system of uh, disaster management communication. Thank you very much. That's all. Over to you, Dr. Arjit.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful presentation. You rightly highlighted that the possibilities for the use of social media in the management of natural disaster. It is evident that social media is impactful as a tool for communication disaster. With its massive reach and ability to convey real-time information, social media could drive the disaster management efforts. However, lack of training and guidelines pose major challenges for the use of social media as an emergency management tool. There is the need for the implementing a systematic approach to improve the way stakeholders use social media during a disaster. Sir, there is one question for you. What role a person has during the crisis or emergency situation, such as of current COVID-19 pandemic, to control the spread of fake news? You have highlighted some of points in your presentation. I want to know what other things we can do.
See, as I have mentioned mentioned during my talk, that before forwarding any message or any information that is sensitive and can impact the society in adverse way. We need to check the trustworthiness of the source from where we have received that. We need to identify social media and that can spread misinformation in advance or uh, track them during any emergency or crisis situation. And in this, the disaster management authorities can take these responsibilities of identifying such media handles which can spread such rumors or misinformation. Apart from that, local volunteers or youth of NCC or NSS or other organizations or NGOs can be trained to spot rumors and fake information online. And what should be the way to respond to that news? Further, community should also have to check correctness of information they are receiving during any crisis situation by cross-checking it with the information that are shared by their government, their respective government, with verification of any information or news. It's without verification of any information or news, it should not be forwarded to others. It should be our moral duty that we, before forwarding any news in this any crisis or emergency situation, we should recheck it. We should cross-check it with the government website or government sources.
Thank you very much, sir. Now I would like to take one question. One of our participants is a question that how do you ensure information dissemination to places people who have no access to social media and who don't have smartphones? So uh, you have raised a very genuine question. Definitely, in India, we have a large group of population who don't who cannot afford smartphones. Even if they have smartphone, some of them living in the remote area where net availability is very low. And yesterday, Mr. Raju Thapa highlighted that in disaster situation, internet connectivity already disrupt during the disaster situation. So in such situation, as highlighted by Shri S.S. Jain from Department of Telecommunication, that the Department of Telecommunication is doing a great effort using how they are using a common alert protocol, which will be highlighted in more detail tomorrow by Shripal Mena. So I will urge you to join the tomorrow session and ask your queries related to this topic to him. So now moving to ahead. Recently, natural and man-made disasters are a major cause for concern to the global community. As former United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon said, in times of crisis and emergency, radio can be a lifeline for a people in shattered societies or caught in catastrophe or desperately seeking news. Radio being life saving information. To enlighten more in this topic, we have with us senior media person Sri Rajiv Kumar Shukla ji. He has more than 40 years of experience in media and journalism. During his tenure, he has worked with some of the most prestigious institutions such as Press Information Bureau, All India Radio, International Radio Broadcaster at Hindi Services of Voice of America, uh, at Washington, D.C., Jawaharlal Nehru Krishi Vishwavidyalaya, etc. He has served as a Director General, Additional Director General, officers on special duty, and many other respected positions during his tenure in All India Radio. He has regularly delivered lectures radio and Doordarshan program professional at Prasar Bharati's National Academies of Broadcasting and Multimedia at Delhi, Bhubaneswar, and regional academies of broadcasting and multimedia at Hyderabad, Ahmedabad, and Lucknow. He also taught student of journalism and mass communication as a guest faculty at IIMC, BHU, GGSIU, and many other academic institutions in various parts of the country. He has worked with UNICEF, UNESCO, and many other national and international organizations for causes such as disaster management, health, women and child welfare, etc., devoted to public services broadcasting. I pass stage to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Harjeet Kaur. Good morning to all the participants and my respected co-panelists. We heard an excellent presentation by Mr. Kathait on social media's use in disaster management. So I think I shall start by saying that this is an age where we are entitled to, we have the facility for using multiple modes of communication. And I don't think that there should be any sense of competition or one-upmanship, because the ultimate purpose is to bring relief to the affected population, vulnerable population, and then affected population in a disaster situation. So my feeling is that what means we have, we need to make optimum use of all those means. Different methods and modes and capabilities need to be complementary, strengthen each other. Rather, there should be a feeling of one-upmanship. So I shall begin by that. And now there is a small presentation I have. And after that, of course, I shall elaborate on a few points. And then if there are any questions, I shall be very happy to take those. Next slide, please. Yeah. So as we all know, you are all disaster management professionals or academic luminaries who know all about disasters. So we know that frequency and ferocity of disasters have been rising. Climate change, ecological degradation has contributed to it. And so we also are at fault. The human beings are also at fault. And the realization is there, but still a lot needs to be done. In the meanwhile, disasters have been there. It's not that we have disasters happening in the recent times only. Natural disasters have been there since time immemorial. So in fact, even before humans came into being, and even the life started on Earth. But now that we know and we record and we face these disasters, we have to find ways and means of dealing with these. Disasters devastate lives, livelihoods, and infrastructure. They also impact very adversely local, regional, national, and global economy. Disasters cannot be prevented completely, as I have just mentioned. These have been a part of the life of Earth, I would say, or the solar system, if we go on a higher scale. But we shall confine ourselves to Earth. But the destruction wrought by these can certainly be reduced with foresight and timely action. I will just give one example. There is a very famous saying that earthquakes don't kill people. It is the buildings which kill people. Meaning thereby that if the buildings are not earthquake resistant, if the proper care has not been taken to incorporate the latest technical features, then it is the buildings which can fall, or the structures which can fall, and thus can take lives. So that is a very important line to think, to understand that mitigation is always possible, because disasters have been there and will be there. Aware and informed people are a vital asset in this endeavor. Next, please. Media is now omnipresent, as we all know. It plays a crucial role in disaster management communication too. Now, I am not, as I just said, I do not really subscribe to the view that this particular media is more important than the other. All media are important, and different situations are there in different parts of the earth. You have different media which are preeminent. But there is one fact which comes out. Amongst the various traditional and emerging media platforms, radio does take a pivotal position in disaster management communication due to larger reach, easy affordability, and simpler technology. All these are very important points. It's better at larger reach because of its simpler technology also, and then its easy affordability with continuous innovations. When I talk of innovations here, what I mean is that now you don't need a radio set to listen to a radio station. You can listen to radio on a mobile phone. You can listen to radio on the car radio, or in a moving vehicle also. Now with the streaming, radio can be heard through apps. And then now there are options of listening on demand. That is you don't have to really tune into a program at a particular time. Of course, the program will be broadcast at that time, but then there are options for major programs to be available to listeners at their convenience, which is called podcast. So that is also there. So in fact, many innovations have been there, and these innovations make it easy for the people to tune into radio and get the information. Of course, radio's role is to inform, to educate, and to entertain. So, and particularly in the public service broadcasting, with which I have been associated all my life. So, I would say that these qualities of radio. I will just like to mention that when a disaster is actually happening, radio is the medium of choice globally. In support of this, let me tell you that it has been mentioned that I worked in Voice of America Hindi service for years. And I remember that in America, they call cyclones are called hurricanes. And all of the hurricanes and cyclones also, we know they have names. So when some hurricane was about to strike, I remember the television stations, the television channels talking about it a lot, preparing people. And then they told people what you should do to have a survival kit. And they said that you should, for your survival kit, you should have non-perishable food. The food which has a longer shelf life, drinking water, blanket, battery operated radio. Now the battery operated is crucial because the power supply may be disrupted, as was mentioned by Mr. Thapa yesterday, and Dr. Kaur just mentioned that power supply can be the first casualty. That is why radio becomes so important. And in America, I remember they always said that take a battery operated radio with you to your place of shelter, maybe the basement or whatever. So radio is the medium of choice globally. Even in those countries which we think are very, very advanced, they are more dependent on radio when the disaster is actually happening. Next slide, please. In a disaster situation, media has to support the efforts to save lives and livelihoods by contributing to the rescue, relief, and rehabilitation activities through creating and nurturing public awareness. I don't think it needs to be elaborated upon. The implementation of these objectives needs a well-conceived and comprehensive disaster communication plan. So there are many components of this plan. There is one for disaster risk prevention and reduction. That means you prepare people for it. Then there is one forewarning, that is early warning, coverage, that is rescue and relief, and then post-disaster role, which is rehabilitation.
Sir, we have
made
the next slide.
Okay. Right. Yeah. Just now. I could just see it. So what happens when a disaster actually strikes? Normally, what happens that disaster coverage phase begins usually in the form of breaking news. So now there are different kinds of disasters. For instance, there are disasters which provide you some information from some time window to give warnings in advance. For like the examples are floods, normal floods. I'm talking of flash floods, cloud bursts and all. Normal floods where you kind of monitor, the CWC in India monitors, and there is this regular information that the water level is rising, and accordingly, information is provided to everybody, and particularly the concerned people. Similarly, when a cyclone situation is there, then again, the information starts coming in that this low pressure area has developed and this is likely to move in such a direction, intensify further, grow into a cyclone or this or that category. So all that gives you some time. But then there is an earthquake. So in earthquake, now of course there has been some progress, some forewarning. Not very sure. But I remember that once I attended a international conference at Kuala Lumpur and again at Jakarta. So there it was said that in Japan, I'm talking of a few years back, now they might have progressed even further. They said that there is a 6 second to 30 second time window available before the earthquake actually strikes. So they broadcast sirens and other information immediately. And one of the participants there asked, what can one do in 6 seconds? So the answer which was given was very interesting, and the answer was, in 6 seconds you can at least get under the bed or a table. So, and that may save your life. So basically, but I mean, still I would say in India, we are not in at that situation where we can really provide much advanced information about earthquake. So there are two types of earthquakes, but the breaking news means whatever is going on, that is stopped, and immediately this information takes precedence. The immediate media activities are directed at assisting rescue and relief operations and keeping affected people as well as people at large fully informed through, now these are very crucial points, and I to what Mr. Kathait was just saying, accurate, factual, objective, authentic and quick information dissemination, and also converting the technical jargon and into simple and intelligible messages in regional languages and also dialects. Now, this is very important. We know in India we have 22 languages in the 8th schedule of our constitution. English is 23rd. Then we have hundreds, if not thousands of dialects. And all these are living languages and dialects. And people use them, and in fact, they are more comfortable in using their mother tongue and also the dialects. For instance, in Hindi area also, you have Bhojpuri, you have Awadhi, you have Braj, you have Bundeli, so many other dialects. And people in the rural areas prefer the communication in dialects. So a media organization has to be equipped to take, which is quite technical at times. It has to be technical, but there has to be this training that how to make this technical information into a broadcast worthy message, a communication message by using simple language, and then putting it out in regional languages and also dialects. The less attention grabbing role is of focusing on the rehabilitation process. That is a very important thing. In fact, in radio, I worked in All India Radio, as has been said. So we did follow up on the situation. For instance, I can cite the example of Jabalpur earthquake of May 1997, when we did a lot of things at that time. Immediately after that, and after 1 year, we did a program to take stock of what lessons had been learned and what measures had been implemented. So that is also very important. Usually, you know, and in today's media, where TRPs are a big issue and there is a cutthroat competition, then there is a problem that and as my previous speaker was also saying, the sensationalism has become such a thing. So here and now, एक बड़ी story आई है, you throw it at people, create a lot of drama out of it, and then you move on to something else. But that is not the way good media or good journalism functions. So basically, we have to follow the story to its logical conclusion. Next, please. Thank you. Now, all media platforms are equal and active partners in disaster management communication. As I have just said, the radio has the potential for being the most immediate, intimate, accessible medium. I'm talking about mass media here. As the premier public service broadcaster of the country, AIR, that is All India Radio or Akashvani, has continually risen to the occasion when disasters of various kinds struck. And we all know, I mean, it has been said, I think it was said yesterday also, it was said today also, that India is a city, and we are, fortunately or unfortunately, I would say unfortunately here, prone to all kinds of disasters also. So there is a diversity of the disaster vulnerability also, I mean, as far as India is concerned. So we have to, I mean, be prepared for that. And in AIR, I would say we have done a lot. Now, private radio channels and community radio stations also contribute in this field. The entire radio fraternity can and does unite to discharge the role of disaster management communication, working in synergy as and when required with various local, that includes panchayats and other civic bodies, Nagarpalika and all. That's a very important part of governance in our country, local self-governance. Then regional, state, national, and even international agencies such as UNICEF, WHO, UNESCAP, etc. So radio stations do work, all kinds of radio stations, the public broadcaster, even the private radio stations and the community radio stations, they all rise to the occasion when the need is there. Of course, the role of AIR is greater, it being a public service broadcaster, the national broadcaster in terms of radio broadcasting, but other operators and other players also. Raju ji, next slide. Thank you. Disaster handling authorities, पीछे वापस. You need to go back. नहीं पीछे जाइए और पीछे जाइए, आप आगे चलते जा रहे हैं.
Yes, sir. What?
हाँ ठीक है, ये ठीक है. इससे नेक्स्ट पे आइए प्लीज. The next slide. Yeah. No. Yeah, please. बस यही रुकिए. So I said that radio organizations rise to the occasion. Now the point comes, जो आपके इस presentation से जुड़ा हुआ है, subject से जुड़ा हुआ है. How does the radio play the role of the first responder? How can it be more effective in that? So I have talked that radio stations, the radio professionals, they should all be aware and trained in this. The handling authorities need also to be better acquainted with the working of not just radio broadcasting, but also the dynamics and compulsions of different radio broadcasting organizations in the country, and more importantly, those active in the respective areas. Now, this is a very important point. What happens that we sometimes have the tendency of working in silos. Disaster situations where it's a question of life and death. So the preparation has to be there in advance, and this preparation involves a partnership in all concerned agencies, and keeping media, treating media as a partner, and knowing the working of media is very important. For instance, and I am not confining myself to radio here only, I shall say that the print media also needs, television, the audio-visual media also needs to be known. That's what I am saying, that in America, they knew that when the disaster is about to strike, there may be after 2 or 3 days, then they go to print media also, they go to the television also. But when it is actually coming on, then they say that radio is now the most important medium. So this sense of what works at what point needs to be there with the disaster handling authorities also. They need to know the working of media. For the reason is the objective would be that if you know the media works, then the media can be used in the most optimum manner. So win-win situation for both actually. For instance, now I should profit motive driven radio channels can usually devote very small time chunks. I'm talking here of situations where you the education phase. So let us take the COVID situation, which is, I mean, a very big, situation. It's a global pandemic, as we all know. Private radio channels are also doing their bit, but they do it in small messages, short messages, what they call RJ mention, and other such things. So they are doing something, and they will speak 2 or 3 sentences about it, and then they will move on. Why is this so? Because their primary motive, or I would say the basis for their existence is commercial revenue earning. I'm not blaming them. I'm saying that it is the condition for their existence. So they can give you very short duration. Of course, that can be very effective also, but still, I mean, the time allocation which they can do comparatively shorter. Now, AIR or radio can and does employ long as well as short formats in different languages and dialects. For instance, we can have long interviews with doctors in COVID situation. If we go to a cyclone situation, then we can have maybe interviews with various authorities. The private stations can maybe use a clip of that, but the AIR station can go and play the whole interview and repeat it again, because All India Radio is not that is it's not, I'm saying that all the time you need long duration programs, but you need long duration programs at times. For in a COVID situation, you need a doctor to answer questions about the various questions which may be in the minds of the audience. What to do, what not to do, how long can they survive on this surface, that surface, what are the symptoms. So you need somebody to talk at length, and that talking at length is important, and that can be done only on a public service broadcasting. Then we go to the community radio stations, the third tier, as we get. These can provide the last mile connectivity, because as has been said that community radio stations, it was said yesterday also, they are the closest to the people. Unfortunately, I must mention here that community radio movement needs should have been much bigger in India. We have all the very robust, very alive radio movement, and we haven't yet reached anywhere. Even the, I mean, we are very far short of using that potential, but still it is there. Then we also know, I mean, some of the disaster management professionals will know that ham radio operators are also in a disaster situation. They can and do play a very important role. In fact, in the super cyclone of 1999, it is said that for some, in fact, AIR also, and I shall talk about it later. But for some time, the transmitter was not off the air, and then the ham radio operators came into being. So I would say that the authorities handling disasters, different kind of authorities, they also need to know how different kind of media function, so that they can make best use of these media. And now digital radio has new possibilities in disaster communication field also. In fact, in India, in All India Radio, the model which was adopted was Digital Radio Mondial, which is DRM. It is DAB at certain places, digital audio broadcast. Different models are available globally. In India, All India Radio went for Digital Radio Mondial. So digital radio gives you many other capabilities also. For instance, the possibility of the text messages are also there. So, and then there is something called journaling. So many facilities, many value additions are available. And then there is a very important facility in a digital radio, that it can automatically override the disaster management. The disaster message will come and automatically everything else will be drowned, and the disaster message will be there on top of it. So this facility is there. Then we have satellite radio, what is called direct to home. There also we have this facility now. The internet radio, the live streaming, the podcast, I have mentioned about these. These are all new capabilities in radio also. So these need to be known to the policy makers and the disaster handling professionals. Next slide, please. G. Now AIR has its own internal standard operating procedure in place, which enables all AIR stations to spring into immediate action on their own in case of a disaster happening in their area. This is updated as per the exigencies of the situation. So what happens that, you know, I mean, basically All India Radio was earlier under a corporation, a public service corporation, autonomous body, but still in the public sector, I would say. We have a standard operating procedure, so that suppose something happens in Nagpattinam in Tamil Nadu, the concerned radio station will not wait for the instructions from Delhi, will not ask for clearance from Delhi, or even Chennai, whatever station is serving that area, can and does swing into action immediately on knowing. And this I shall talk about later, how the information is reached presently. So basically that is the SOP which is there. Now there can and should be a great value addition to the SOP, that the SOP of All India Radio is there, but it can be further upgraded and updated. Apex bodies such as NDMA, NDRF, which is the first response force, SDMAs, etc. If they collaborate in improving and fine-tuning the SOP on a regular basis, because the disasters also evolve, our capabilities also evolve, so we need to look at the SOPs also from time to time and update it. And this should be left to the broadcasting organization only. Other players also should be an active partner. What we want, this is your capability now. You can modify your SOP accordingly. So I think that is a very important thing. Now I shall go further and I shall say all media organizations and particularly radio broadcasters should have a common SOP. This is a very important thing. For there is an AIR code. What should be broadcast and what should not be broadcast. Of course, taking full care of the freedom of expression. But still, things which can create. Mr. Kathait has talked in terms of social media messages which can disrupt public order and all. So basically, that kind of thing is there in AIR code also. This AIR code is applicable to all radio broadcasts in the country. Similarly, we can have a disaster situation SOP, which is applicable to all media organizations, particularly radio broadcasters. So, there is a synergy. Thus, all resources can be pooled for combined efforts in an emergency situation. Now, regular workshops and interactions for enhancing the skills of radio professionals will also go a long way in this. Basically, we need to have interactive sessions where the media organizations also participate, the professionals of disaster management also participate, and there is a give and take. And so there is a better appreciation of each other's situation, needs, aspirations, and how best this can be achieved. Next slide, please. To further improve AIR's disaster management, communication, preparedness, and performance, upgradation and fine-tuning of AIR's internal apparatus in technological as well as programming aspects is a continuous process, as it should be. Now, AIR has robust linkages with the concerned like MHA, IMD, other organizations I have met these earlier, and these are further being strengthened. This should extend to again all radio operators. These linkages is a multipolar universe in the radio broadcasting flow. So All India Radio will be premier broadcaster in terms of public service broadcasting, but other radio operators taken on board and should be treated as partners so that the maximum reach can be ensured. Upgradation and fine-tuning of media's internal apparatus in technological as well as programming aspects to further improve its disaster communication performance is a continuous process. So we always need to be on our guard, we need to improve, and we need your help also in letting us know these are the areas where we need to improve. Now, for getting verified and authentic, these are the words which were there in Mr. Kathait's presentation also, and yesterday also it was talked about. Verified and authentic disaster information. Media organizations depend on NDMA, State Disaster Management Authority, district administration officials, and organizations such as IMD, CWC, GSI, etc. However, further strengthening mechanisms for real-time information sharing with various media, including radio organizations, would facilitate faster communication and action thereupon. Utmost care should be taken to include radio stations, channels which serve the affected and or vulnerable areas. Radio is essentially a terrestrial broadcasting medium in our country. We have the satellite facility, we have the internet radio, but still the bulk of the radio is terrestrial and it serves a particular area. So when I am doing as a disaster authority, when I am looking at the scene, I need to take that radio organization with me which is serving that concerned area. Media should be treated as an equal, active, valuable, responsible and trusted partner in the realm of disaster management. Of course, the onus is on media too in this regard. See, the idea again is that, I mean, sometimes the mindset is that media is a problem. So it should not be seen as a problem. It should be seen as a partner. And radio can be a wonderful partner. Now I shall how do we improve the efficiency of radio as the first responder? Innovation, I shall now like to talk a few points, giving some examples of the innovation which All India Radio did. The Srinagar floods. When the Srinagar floods came, the main transmitter of which was then called Radio Kashmir, now it is AR Srinagar. The office complex and the studio complex, and the threat was there that the broadcast will be interrupted. In fact, it was interrupted for some time. For those familiar with Srinagar know that there is what Shankar, top of Shankaracharya, there is this commercial radio station of All India Radio. So what they did, went by boat of the Shankar Hill, walked through the and kept on broadcasting and information from that commercial station, which was then converted for the time. That is an FM station. So that was converted into a regular primary channel, as we call it in AIR parlance, for giving information. And it was it is on record that for many days, maybe about a fortnight, that was the only media functioning, electronic media functioning in and around Srinagar. So that is one innovation that, and in fact, that happened at Jabalpur also. At Jabalpur earthquake, I remember that when the earthquake came, there was a problem with the studio transmitter link. So we were on foot. The earthquake was there in the early morning, around 4 o'clock. And then after that, we were on the road, recording messages, and then rushing to the transmitter to broadcast it. And that kept on. We came back at about 1 or 2 in the night, and we kept on, and the other team then took the place. And we immediately convert, in All India Radio we convert, all stations are 24-hour stations. Then another important, Kosi floods, when the Kosi floods came in Bihar in 2008, besides other things, what happened that a team from Directorate General of All India Radio went there with a software which facilitated the receiving of messages from the affected people, and hundreds of families were reunited through those messages. That is again something which I am very, that the memory of that gives me great satisfaction. Then there is a question of resilience in media infrastructure also. You know what happens that with any technology, with radio also, you have a mast, you have a transmitter tower, which can be affected. So it happened during one of the cyclones recent, I don't remember the name. The affected area was Visakhapatnam and the surroundings. And what happened that the Visakhapatnam main transmitter got for some time. Of course, I mean, then what happened? We immediately made a network of the surrounding areas and converted and started broadcast messages on that network. So that need to improve, to innovate, to do things on the go, as that is very important. And maybe the media organizations also need to know. There is a very, very mundane kind of example. When the electricity is not there, even the radio transmitter needs electricity. So what you need, you have the generators for that, but you need to have a good supply of diesel with you, or so basically these are the kind of things. And there sometimes what happens that you need the help of the district administration also in equipping you with all the important things. So as I had said in the beginning, all media are important. No media is more important than the other. There is need of one-upmanship. We can all work together in convergence. The convergence is the key word. So I would say that this convergence can be there. And finally, I would say that when you talk of social media, please remember that now any media organization worth its name also has a social media arm. All India Radio has it. In fact, all stations of AIR have it. the private radio stations have it, the community radio stations have it. So when you are talking of using social media, remember that the radio stations or the other media organizations also have this social media presence, which can be used to multiply your effect, your efforts. So I think this is how we can work together, and radio stations will always be there, ready to get the first messages, ready to start broadcasting the messages as these are received, and to contribute in the noble mission of saving lives and livelihoods. Thank you so much.
Dr. Harjit Kaur, you are not audible.
Dr. Harjit, your mic is off. Please unmute.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for your wonderful presentation and for sharing your vast experience with participants. Radio communication is indissoluble in saving lives in the event of a natural disaster. As Secretary General Jahau said that collaborating experiences is a critical in order to support national and regional preparedness, and ITU is deeply committed to the facilitating rapid and effective response in emergency. So, sir, just give me a couple of minutes so that I can open the Q&A window and ask questions raised by the participants.
Sure, welcome.
Sir, there is one question raised by Nishant. Why do we not promote technical information to the masses on a regular basis when it understanding help in every walk of life? And how can we help spread technical information in simple context to promote effective understanding by the masses?
Ms. Nishant ji, I presume that when you are saying technical information, you mean information people to deal with the disaster situation when the disaster situations strike. Because in the context in which we are talking, I think that is the technical information. I mean, because there is technical information of all kinds, and here I think we are concerned with the technical information concerned with the disaster management. So if you remember, when I talked of the comprehensive plan, there is this, the first part was education, the prevention and mitigation part. What does that mean? That means that, I of the country. So cyclones are more prone to earthquakes than the others. Then we have recently, in the recent years, we have seen, because of so many factors, the phenomenon of flash floods, urban floods, that kind of situation, cloud burst, and all those kind of things. Floods, of course, have been there. So what happens that radio stations and other media organizations as well, I would say, should be giving information to, for instance, in the coastal areas, the radio stations serving those areas should be all year round giving people information, the do's and don'ts, what to do when a cyclone comes, it strikes. Similarly, in areas which are more prone to earthquake, you tell people that these are the precautions you need to take while you are constructing your house or your office or your other constructions are there. And then when the earthquake actually strikes, then these are the things you need to do. You should have this kind of. I remember that there was this whistle thing. एक सीटी आपको दी जाएगी या एक सीटी आपको अपने पास रखनी चाहिए, because if suppose you are there in the rubble, then that whistle can alert the people who are trying to rescue people that somebody is there. So these are the things which, now that's why I said that the private radio stations, because of the compulsion of profit, they will not be able to give you that much of time. And the public service broadcasters, but I don't say that they will not give you time, but they will not give you as much time as a public service broadcaster or as a community radio station. So this is something which we all need to know. Let me tell you that All India Radio, and I know of certain community radio stations also, which regularly broadcast programs, preparing people, telling them, giving them the information, what you said, technical information. In fact, All India Radio has broadcast mega serials, disaster situations and disaster prevention, disaster education, in collaboration with Gyan Prasar, in collaboration with other agencies. Na ho jaye. I remember, and these are serials which are made in Hindi and English, and then these are made in different kind of languages: Marathi, Gujarati, Kannada, Tamil, Malayalam, Bangla, all languages of the country, and then these are broadcast. So I hope you are happy that the dissemination of technical information is being done. But in fact, in our country, as I said, this has to be a continuous process, and the media organizations also need support in this, technical support, informational support, and sometimes, let me say it rather bluntly, in the changing scenario, sometimes financial support also. So that support, if it comes around, then the media organizations also, because now everybody has to be financially self-sufficient. Even All India Radio, the Prasar Bharati, this financial self-sufficiency is a very important goal. So if some help comes, in fact, NDMA does provide certain programs, and also the sponsorship programs or commercial spots. So I think this is a correct way, and we can move in that direction. I would just like to mention here one situation that again, it is from the Jabalpur earthquake. I remember when I joined All India Radio, in our training we were taught, in which we got, that when there is a crisis situation, not just disaster, any kind of crisis situation, the district administration, the authorities, they depend on radio to disseminate information. I saw it also happening many a times. I remember, I can go on citing, I mean, as you said, I have had a vast experience, so I can give you example after example. But the Jabalpur earthquake was another kind of example. I would like to mention it. What happened that it stuck early in the morning, and when we started looking for the district magistrate, or the collector, as I mean, the gentleman is called, he was nowhere to be found. We kept on looking the office, and those were not the days of mobile and all. So I remember we went from pillar to post, but we could not locate him. After 6 to 7 hours, we came to know that he is sitting in the city cable, the local television services which were there. And when we said, sir, we have been looking for you, and he said, रेडियो तो आजकल कम सुना जाता है, आजकल तो टेलीविजन का जमाना है, तो मैं तो यहाँ, मैंने कहा, सर, आर यू अवेयर दैट देयर इज नो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी इन द एंटायर सिटी एंड योर टेलीकास्ट इज नॉट अवेलेबल आउटसाइड दिस स्टूडियो. So what I meant to say was that this awareness of which media is functional, which media is effective, which media must be used, this has to be there. Or this technical information, Mr. Nishant, going back to Mr. Nishant, this information need not be given to people only, it needs to be given to other professionals also. We all need to work in synergy, we all need to converge, we all need to conserve our energies and work together.
Thank you very much, sir. Sir, the next question raised by Shalima Anjan: how local labor or the farm laborers and non-working women of rural part of India can be aware of expected disasters and its management or a helpline?
Very good question. Let me tell you, that is the beauty of radio, and particularly public service broadcaster. In All India Radio as well as in community radio stations, I know for sure. I will first talk of All India Radio. We have what we call general audience programs. There is a health talk, there is some science program, there is some other information, the music, the film music, of course, which is very popular, and the classical music and the folk music. But then there are other chunks which are called special audience programs. So there are programs for women, programs for children, program for rural audience. These are all Chaupal and, and Ghar Angan and Ghar Sansar, and then program for elderly people now, program for specially able people, program for youth, program for industrial workers, program for defense personnel also. So these are called special audience programs. These programs are targeted at a particular audience. So when you say the rural women, almost all AR stations broadcast programs in local dialects targeted at the rural audience as women, rural youth, rural children, rural women. So the best policy, as I said, when you know, then you can have such programs in that particular time chunk. So the efficacy of that broadcast increases. आप कोई प्रोग्राम मान लीजिए आपको मसाले का विज्ञापन करना है, आई एम टॉकिंग ऑफ द कमर्शियल, विज्ञापन करने की बेस्ट जगह वो है अगर वो महिलाओं के कार्यक्रम में ब्रॉडकास्ट किया जाए. मैं मतलब प्लीज डोंट टेक इट दैट वे कि सिर्फ महिलाओं का उससे मतलब आजकल पुरुष भी बहुत अच्छा खाना वाना बनाते हैं एंड द ग्रेट शेफ्स, बट द पॉइंट इज दैट यू नीड टू आइडेंटिफाई द बेस्ट चंक फॉर कम्युनिकेटिंग दैट मैसेज. और इंफॉर्मेशन का तो जब जरूरत पड़ती है, इनोवेशन इतना करना पड़ता है. कैन यू बिलीव आई मेंशन्ड दिस एट इंटरनेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंसेस एंड दे वर ऑल वंडरस्ट्रक. There is a place called Ambikapur in Sarguja district of Chhattisgarh. I was there, and there what happened that the wild elephants, they came into the city, right into the city. They went to the collectorate, they went to the vegetable market, they roamed all over the city. And from All India Radio, I remember we noticed that early because the first came to Circuit House, which was adjacent to our colony and radio station. So I saw that sight myself. 7 elephants, 4 adults, 3 children, walking in a file, a magnificent sight, a beautiful sight. But again, because it was the early morning time, children were coming out to go to the school, and we immediately started broadcasting messages. And at that time, many in the administration also were not aware that this has happened. And we kept on mentioning that please take care. There are elephants in the city. Please do not provoke the elephants. Please be careful. Please be safe. And they were in the city for the entire day, and then the forest people and the police personnel, they slowly took them out of the city. So there are such an interesting situations, many situations I can which are when the international audience listens to it, they say acha aisa bhi hota hai. That can also happen, and it can happen. This is India, anything can happen, and we need to be prepared for that.
Thank you very much, sir, to be with us. And moving to our third presentation, we have with us Sri Atul Sinha, DDG Admin, Department of Telecommunication. He will be talking about the COVID quarantine alert system and bulk migrant tracking system. I pass on stage to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Harjeet. First of all, please let me know whether I'm audible.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, thank you. Can you please give me authority?
Yes, sir, we have already allotted that.
Yes, just I'll take a minute to upload my document. Raju, can you please?
Yes, sir, it is visible, sir.
Presentation is visible?
Yes, sir, it is visible and audible, sir.
So, panelists and dear participants, very good morning to all of you. My name is Atul Sinha. I'm an officer of Indian Telecom Services, presently posted as Deputy Director General in National Telecom Institute for Policy Research, Innovation and Training under Department of Telecom. That's the Apex Telecom Training Institution and recognized as Central Training Institution by DOPT. Very good morning and a very warm welcome to all of you to my session of application of big data analytics in telecom domain for disaster management. With a special reference to COVID-19 pandemic that we try to do something, I'll just try to share with you my experiences. So the first project, only 2 projects I'll be discussing and sharing with you. First is Shram Setu, we have given the name, project name as Sham Setu, the bulk migrant tracking and reporting system. And the second was is CQS, COVID-19 quarantine alert system. Friends, during this COVID-19 pandemic, uh, I think no Indian can forget these pictures that I am showing to you. These were the most, I should say, tragic part of the entire COVID-19 pandemic handling. And for the entire period, probably this was the most tragic part that we in no case would like to repeat it or recollect it. So friends, actually the central government, our honorable Prime Minister, announced the lockdown on 24th of March. And this announcement of lockdown immediately triggered bulk migration of citizens from metros and bigger towns to their hometowns and villages. I think only for 3-4 days, the citizen waited for something to happen. And immediately, I remember on 29th or 30th or 31st of March, people have started gathering. There were lots of political confusions also. There were a lot of message and media communication gaps also, and wrong communication also. My previous resource person was mentioning about communications, importance of communication during disaster management. And because of all those miscommunications, the huge population started migrating to their hometowns or villages from metros and bigger towns wherever they were working. And very soon it was discovered and realized by state governments that these migrants, they have become a huge potential threat for spread of corona. Because initially, if you can recollect, the major epicenter of corona initially was Delhi and Bombay, like bigger cities, and all this migration was happening mostly from these bigger cities only. So there was a threat perception that these migrant citizens will be carrying, some of them may be carrying this virus to different states, to districts and villages, and it will be spread like anything beyond control. So the state governments who were managing this, trying to manage this difficult situation, they definitely needed some details about migrants. Some of the state governments have launched portals for registration of migrants who wanted to return to their native state. And some of the state governments were also interested to know whether the outward migrants are still in their state, who have registered on their sites, portals, and if so, in which district of the state they are actually present at this point of time. So we in telecom department, we tried to take up a project, a very innovative project that was probably done for the first time in India. We initiated, in fact, I was the person who proposed initially to the government a concept paper. We created a concept paper about bulk migrant tracking system, and we proposed to track the mass movement before and after the lockdown using system dumps of mobile network. And when I say system dumps of mobile network, because there could be participants who may not necessarily be belonging to telecom domain, I would like to explain them that in mobile systems for all operators, there is a provision of taking system dump, which we call VLR dump or visitor location register dump, whereby all those mobile numbers which are uh, attached to whose mobile is on and who are attached to some BTS in a particular district or in a location area or in a say New Delhi or in Bombay or in Surat or in Ahmedabad or in Bangalore, we can take a dump of all those numbers, and with the help of these numbers we can find out that on a particular date uh, how many of mobile numbers and who are all the mobile numbers which were present in Delhi. For example, if I take mobile dump of today night, say 12 o'clock. So I will be tomorrow. I can tell you that in Delhi NCR, in how many mobile subscribers or how many mobile persons. I mean, today it is a normal presumption that every adult person is having a mobile phone, or at least a 90% or 95% of citizens are having mobile phone. So I can tell you, I can find out that how many persons are there at 12 o'clock midnight in Delhi today. So massive data of pan-India footprint were analyzed to get the locations where migrants finally moved. So we took data before the migration date, say 23rd or 22nd of March, of few states, say Delhi or Bombay or Ahmedabad, Surat or Gujarat as a whole. And then for the other states also where these migrants, they have moved the data for the next 10 days or 7 days, after 7 days or 10 days, and then it was calculated. I'll show you how. And then migrants from each state to rest of the state of India were tracked in mass. How? I'll tell you. So what was the algorithm to do this big data analytics? We made use of, as I said, we made use of VLR data, and there is another cell DB information that is again a technical term used in telecom domain. That is the BTS addresses and BTS location. All the operators have maintain complete database of the BTSs and their address, their lat long location, their central code, etc., the cell code, etc. All these informations are maintained by every operator. That in which state or in every district area, how many BTSs are installed and what are their different information, location details, and so on and so forth. This database is called CellDB information. The VLR of each state was merged with the CellDB data based on the global cell ID, and this gave us the location of the mobile numbers in the VLR. So again, I would like to explain. Suppose we have got the VLR dump of Delhi. So we, or suppose, let us take a state example. We have got the dump data, VLR dump data of Gujarat, and the entire state, in the entire state, the cell DB data was also collaborated with that VLR dump data, and by posting the location of each BTS, geolocation of each BTS, we were able to find out that which mobile number was located in which particular area of the state. For example, if somebody was in Surat, say particular Mohalla ABC, so we were able to know that this person was on 23rd of March, before the announcement of lockdown. This person was in Surat, in Mohalla or in village ABC. Now we have the complete set of mobile numbers along with their location. When I say location, means their state, their district town, their nearest BTS address, the BTS lat long, particular date. Before the migration started or before the lockdown was announced, we we had the data of entire state, and with their location also, that which mobile number is residing in which area, that particular which district area, which town, which BTS address, what was the lat long, was the village area, able to locate that. And then the migrants, we call the citizen who moved out of the state during the lockdown period, and immigrants, the citizen who moved into the state, were found with respect to each state of the country. Migrants were generally, people were generally migrating out of the bigger towns like Delhi, Bombay, Calcutta, Ahmedabad, Surat, Bangalore, Hyderabad, and all. And they were generally moving to states like UP and Bihar in a major movement, and to some extent Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan, etc. also. So migrants means the people who moved out of the state, and immigrants means people who moved into the state. They were also found with respect to each state of the country. That how that we will show you next. So friends, the algorithm that we use is the people present on the previous date and absent on the current date are considered as the citizen who have migrated out of the state. Suppose I took data of 23rd March, when the migration was not started, when the lockdown was not announced, of Gujarat, and I compared this data from say 10th of April. So I was able to find out that before lockdown and 10th April of or the first phase of lockdown, how many people who were present on 23rd March in Gujarat were not present on 10th of April in Gujarat. So supposing there were 100 people in Gujarat on 23rd March, and I found that there were only 90 mobile numbers. We were able to compare the mobile numbers of each date, and we were able to find out that these 10 mobile numbers which were present on 23rd March in Gujarat were not present on 10th of April in Gujarat. So we considered that the people who were carrying these numbers, they have migrated out of Gujarat. Similarly, the people absent on the previous date and present on the current date were considered as immigrated, as the citizen who have immigrated into the state. Supposing for the same period, 23rd March and 10th April, I took the data of Bihar, and I saw that people who were not present on 23rd March in Bihar and who are present on 10th of April in Bihar. So these are the people who have definitely immigrated into Bihar during this period. So it is clear that from one set of people who were present on the previous date but not present on the current date, they are the citizens who have migrated out of the state. And in another state, if some people are absent, were not present in Bihar on previous date and they are present on the present date, it means these are the people who have immigrated into the state. They have come from outside and they have reached to Bihar on that particular, during this duration, and they are present in Bihar on that particular day. The complete list of all migrants from all states was created. So first thing we did is that for the entire country, we tried to calculate the people who have migrated out of state by comparing the data of the previous date to the current date. Say, if we call it that the first phase of lockdown was from 25th March to say some 11th of April. So the people who have migrated out of Gujarat between 25th March to 11th April was calculated. Similarly, from all the bigger states like Maharashtra, like Delhi, like Bombay, like Karnataka, we tried to figure out the list of those mobile numbers which were present on 23rd March in Maharashtra but not present on 11th of April in Maharashtra. Therefore, these are the numbers who have migrated out of the state during the first phase lockdown period. And then this data was this state-wise immigrants were matched with the complete migrants list to find from where the immigrant has come. So for every state, we created a list of migrants and also immigrants. As I have already explained to you, and the migrants of each state, the list of migrants of each state were compared with the list of immigrants of each state to find out that suppose 1,000 people during this first phase lockdown period have moved out of Gujarat, then out of these list of 1,000 mobile numbers, how many of them are located on 10th of April or 11th of April in Bihar? Say 70 mobile numbers are located in Bihar. Say 200 numbers are located in Uttar Pradesh. Say 100 numbers are located in Madhya Pradesh. So we can say that out of the 1,000 people who have during this period migrated out of Gujarat, out of these 1,000 people, 70 people have reached to Bihar, 200 people have reached to Uttar Pradesh, and 100 people have reached to Madhya Pradesh, and so on and so forth. This gave us the present as well as the previous location of each immigrant in the state. So friends, we developed codes in Python to work on huge size of data, around 100 GB data. 120 crore mobile subscribers pan India are there, and we tried to compare the entire bulk of data. You can see that what a huge data size it is. And finally, we were able to find out that so many crore migrants from the start of lockdown period, and we tried to create a 31 into 31 matrix of migrants from each state to every other state. I mean, we created a matrix which could tell me that if from one state, say Gujarat, 1,000 people have migrated, so all these 1,000 people were located in rest of the 30 states of the country. So maybe from Gujarat to Manipur, only 7 people have gone. So we were able to find out that out of these 1,000 people, 7 people have reached Manipur, 10 people have reached to say Meghalaya, and these many people to Rajasthan, to Bihar, to Madhya Pradesh. So Gujarat, in respect of Gujarat, if 1,000 people have gone out of Gujarat, so where all they have reached, that every state and every person we were able to locate. On request of Haryana government, we also identified locations of some 6 lakh registered applicants for migration. Haryana government has started a portal during this period, and they have requested all those people who were interested in migrating out of the state also, and Haryana resident people who were in other states who were interested in coming to Haryana. All these were registered on a portal by Haryana government, and on a particular date, I mean, say around 5 lakh, 6 lakh people were registered. They provided us the list of 6 lakh people, and they wanted to know whether the people who have registered to go out of Haryana, whether they have actually gone out of Haryana on this date or not, or how many of them are still available in Haryana, so that transport arrangements, etc., can be done. And if they are still in Haryana, in which district and in which area they are presently available. Similarly, the people outside Haryana, from outside Haryana, whosoever wanted to come to Haryana, how many have already reached to Haryana out of these registered people, and how many are still outside willing to come to Haryana. So friends, I can show you that this is the way we have shown. For the reason of confidentiality, we have changed the figures. The figures are not correct. We have just randomized these figures. But in this map, you can see between 30th April to 31st May, if I may say that say some 3 lakh people have reached to Bihar. So from which states these people have reached, and from these, you can say if 3 lakh people have reached to Bihar from rest of the country, rest of the entire country. So I can say from Uttar Pradesh some 45,000 people have come to Bihar. From Uttarakhand, some 18,000 people have come to Bihar. From Delhi, some 2,11,000 people have come to Bihar. From Himachal Pradesh, some 6,000 people have come to Bihar during this period of 30th April to 31st May. And from Gujarat, these many people have come. From Maharashtra, these many people have come. So as I told that these figures are actually not the correct figures for reason of confidentiality. We have changed the figures, but you can see that total these many people have migrated to Bihar during this particular period, 30th April to 31st May, and we were able to calculate that from all the 31 remaining 30 states of the country, say Mizoram 188 people, Nagaland, from Nagaland 2,105 people have reached to Bihar this period. From Sikkim 696 people have reached to Bihar during this period. So we were able to tell from which of the states how many people have come to Bihar during this period. Similarly, we could see the migration to Odisha also, that to Odisha, how many people from the rest of the 30 states of the country could reach. From Jharkhand, some 35,000 people reached to Odisha. From West Bengal, some 40,000 people reached to Odisha. From Andhra Pradesh, some 93,000 people reached to Odisha. From, say, Punjab, some 416 people reached to Odisha during this period of 30th April to 31st May. Similarly, the third thing that I have told you, that Haryana government has provided a list of more than 5 lakh mobile numbers who were registered on their portal to migrate out of Haryana to different states of the country. They wanted to know whether these registered migrants are still in Haryana or they have moved to their home states. Using data analytics, we gave them complete list of people who had migrated to their home states and who were still waiting for transport arrangements in Haryana. Similarly, list of more than 1 lakh immigrants who had registered on their portal to come to Haryana from various other states of the country was given by Haryana government to know whether they have reached to Haryana or still stranded in their states. These detailed informations were also provided to Haryana government. Friends, you are aware that for tracking all these kind of data, and because these are related with some citizen movement, so unless we got a written request from the competent authority of the state government, which is generally the Home Secretary or the Chief Secretary, we did not do this. We have got specific requests from Bihar government, from Odisha government, from Haryana government, and few more governments. And based on their specific request and taking special approval of the competent authority from telecom department and ministries, we had analyzed this data, this huge data. Similarly, we also tried to know that how many people have moved out of Mumbai to different states. Like if you see, we have not, for reason of confidentiality, again, we have not specified you the period of here. So from, if we see from Mumbai, almost 20 lakh people, 20 lakh 56,703 people moved out of Mumbai during some specific period of lockdown, and where all they have gone, you can see this on this map, that out of these 20 lakh people who moved out of Mumbai, some 1,34,000 people reached to Rajasthan during this period. Some 1,148 people reached to Jammu and Kashmir. Some 1,001 people reached to Arunachal Pradesh. 3,704 people reached to Assam. Then some 1,63,000 people reached to Uttar Pradesh, and some 16,300 people reached to Uttarakhand, and so on and so forth. Odisha, some 9,387 people reached to Odisha. So friends, we also tried to analyze that from Mumbai during a specific period, the people who have moved to number of persons, number of people who have moved to different states of the country, that was also we were able to locate. This is the scenario in respect of Gujarat. some 14,25,000 people during some specific period, which is which I have not mentioned here. Some 14,25,000 people, they have moved out of Gujarat to Uttar Pradesh, some 85,000 people, to Srinagar, some 780 people, to Rajasthan, some 71,000 people, and so on and so forth. So from different states, how many people moved out, migrated out, that also was known to us. So friends, because it's a case study, so I would like also to give you a little bit detail about how we did this project. It needed massive data processing capability, which was never possible with traditional desktop systems. So we used some Intel Xeon powered servers with 16 cores, 32 GB RAM, and 2 TB of storage capacity, and two set of such server we utilized to do this. On the software level, we needed strong engines to process data as per our customization. So we used Linux virtual machine as operating system. We used Python as development language. We used SFTP for data storage and retrieval, because the data that we were taking from mobile telecom service providers like Airtel or Jio or BSNL, MTNL, and so on, they have to be provided the secured connection, and so that the data remains secure. So we have provided them SFTP connections for data storage and retrieval. And because during the lockdown period, for our team members, it was not possible to go to the server location or data center to work it on. So we have created remote desktop applications for online development and execution. We needed, for our system to work, we needed VLR dumps and CellDB chart from the DSPs. To have uniformity over the entire project, a fine print of protocol was made for data uploads, data structure, and file naming convention. Identical home locations were made at the storage server for each server, and each telecom service provider like Airtel or Vodafone was given access to its virtual location only, and required to push data in designated folders only. And for data upload, SFTP access was given to all TSPs for secure data transfer. Friends, because every day the number of files that were being uploaded was very huge, and the data volume was also very huge. So I just wanted to give you an idea that when we deal with massive data, and that too on real-time data, then we have to prepare such kind of folder structure. For example, we created a structure for Airtel. We've created a folder in our server for Airtel, and there were subfolders within this Airtel folder. There were subfolders for Andhra Pradesh, for Assam, Bihar, for all the 31 states. There were different subfolders, and these operator Airtel was supposed to upload its VLR dump data in this folder only, and state-wise in these particular subfolders only. Similarly, one folder was created for all the operators each, and within that folder there were subfolders belonging to every state, and individual operators were requested, were instructed, and were also guided to place their data, to upload their data in these folders and subfolders only. Similarly, for VLR dump, the file naming structure was created, that this format, typical format was created, the TSP code, then LSA code, then date, DDMMYY, and then volume number. For example, this is, if we see that this is an Airtel file for Bihar, and the date was 28th March 2020, and volume 1 was uploaded. So this was the kind of naming structure also, which we defined and which we shared with all the private operators and government operators to upload their data. And this entire thing was compressed because the data size was very high. Transmission of data was taking a lot of time. So we asked them to compress the data in 7Z archive, and we were decompressing it at the server end. Then similarly, VLR dump data structure also we defined, and every field was segregated with a pipe, and we have used only these fields. MSISDN, which is typically the mobile number, MNC is mobile network code, then location area code, and then cell ID and location update date. This date, the data belong to which date, that is also there. So you can see that this is a mobile number, this is mobile number code allotted to a particular operator. Then this is the location area code. This is the cell ID, that is the mobile BTS to which this mobile number was attached, and this is the date of to which this data is belongs to. Similarly, for the BTS data also, we have defined a structure, typical structure, which may not be, I'm skipping, which may not be very used. So there were huge challenges in collection of data, because sometimes these private operators were providing data which had missing fields. Sometimes the header fields sometimes changed and time and again. Large number of junk rows in data were there. There were white spaces in data. There were truncated files. There were damaged GIF files. So as big data analytic team, we have to grapple with such problems. And similarly, in cell database, that is the mobile BTS database also, we have to struggle a lot for making them in a standard format, because some of the records were having a problematic, then the spelling name of the state or district or town names were not correct. There were some duplicate entries also, some non-readable format. Then there were some missing geo-lat-long informations also. Some of the special data, that is geo-lat-long data, was showing area in Pacific Ocean instead of India mainland. So there were lots of errors before really doing the actual data analytics. Lots of problems in the data that we were receiving that was required to be rectified before we could actually do the actual analysis. But friends, with this, what we gained is the entire exercise has reposed faith in the strength of data that the telecom industry possesses, and might of telecom officers to mine, wrench, hammer, and squeeze this data to meaningful insights. And now we stand geared and prepared to handle massive operational data in future also. I'd like to tell you that how this data was utilized by Bihar government and Orissa government. So you are aware that when we were providing them the list of people who have reached to Bihar from different states of the country, so they were segregating this data. In fact, we were giving them this data district wise and village wise and block wise. They were sharing state government at the nodal point. There was one nodal officer, special secretary, home department. We were sharing the data with him, and he was sharing, bifurcating the data, and he was sharing the data, sending the data to district magistrates, and district magistrates were in turn sharing the data to block level. And in Bihar government and Odisha government, they have created quarantine centers at block level, and they were actually trying to locate and match that this person who is presently, who have come outside from Bihar, from outside Bihar, and who is presently available in this particular district, whether he has reached to quarantine center or not. And if they were matching the list with the list of people who have reached to my quarantine center, and if some persons have not reached to quarantine center, they were making them a call on their telephone, and they were trying to locate with the health workers and police officers, and they were requesting them to come to my this quarantine center as per the state government instructions to be quarantined if you have come from outside Bihar, and then only go to your home. And this is how Bihar government and Orissa government very effectively used this entire database, which was made available to them, to bring back people who have reached from different parts of the country to Bihar and Orissa back to quarantine centers. If somebody was not willingly coming, they were sending some police force or somebody to bring that person back to quarantine center forcibly or with request or by convincing them. And only after spending 7 days in quarantine centers, they were allowed to move to their village home places or their homes in their villages. Friends, you might have observed that although the migration has been, number of migrants have been absolutely high, very, very high to Bihar, a little less to Orissa, but the maximum number of immigration has happened into Bihar and Uttar Pradesh. But because of this particular model that the state government with the big data analytics that we supported them, they were able to contain majority of these immigrants to their quarantine centers, and because of that, you must have seen the figures of Bihar overall. If you see for the entire period, the figure of corona affected people or corona spread in Bihar as compared to their 12, 13 crore data, population, it is not as much as in other states. So we can safely say that this particular data analytics has helped Bihar government and Odisha government to a great extent in containing the coronavirus spread by bringing these immigrants from other states to these states to the quarantine centers. Now, once we have done it, we have handled more than 300 crores mobile subscriber data. We have handled in one go our program code that we have written was able to handle some 100 GB data. So now we stand geared and prepared to handle massive operational data in future also whenever the situation so arises. So friends, with this, we can also think of, we are thinking that once we, this kind of a data can be used in many other situation of disaster management, and that I'll just discuss with you, that location data from mobile subscribers once aggregated and anonymized. Now we are thinking that these mobile numbers we can anonymize, we can replace mobile number with another set of unique number by which we don't have the actual mobile number in our system, but we have a unique another number in the mobile system. So there are settled algorithms for anonymization, data anonymization. So then these can be combined with other data such as traffic data or weather reporting to better understand where populations are most at risk. So you must be seeing that even in India now, the weather forecast is fairly accurate now. So if there is any such weather forecast in certain coastal area, in some area, there is some announcement for heavy rain, there is some prediction for heavy rain or some cyclone or something, we can definitely come to know that in that particular area, how many people are located at this point of time. And if we have got 24 hours or 48 hours, so how quickly, what would be the efforts required? Suppose there are in some area, there are 100 people only, and in some area, there are 1 lakh people. So water resources would be required, should be sent to area 1 where there are only 100 people confined, and how many resources, how much resources should be mobilized to area 2 where 1 lakh people are there who may face risk in case of disaster. So the telecom service providers with the advanced MBD's mobile big data capabilities can provide necessary insights on a near real-time or real-time basis, including location-based services, crowd density, movement pattern, etc. Mobile big data layered with public records, it is statistics of disaster preparedness and response duties. Emergency services can be empowered to deploy rescue workers towards clear escape routes with greater effectiveness. In Japan, there's a mobile company called KDDI. They have collaborated with partners to design an application supporting mobile big data protocols to address disaster recovery. And it is another estimate that by 2025, over 25,000 additional lives will be able to be saved from natural disasters in major at-risk countries as a result of mobile big data enabled solutions to aid quicker evacuation from dangerous areas. Friends, another example I would like to tell you that some 7-8 years back, some of you may be able to recall, I don't remember the exact year in which it has happened, the Uttarakhand earthquake, which has devastated and which has claimed a lot of lives. Suppose this kind of a VLR mobile data we were having of the previous date, and with the current date, we could have been able to know once the earthquake has struck, we could have been able to tell with great accuracy that in every area, how many people were there available yesterday in this area, And today, if out of 1,000 people in a specific area of 1 kilometer or 1.5 kilometer, if today we are able to trace only 100 people, then in that particular area, 900 people are missing, and therefore 900 people should be tracked. Similarly, in every area, how many people are missing, that could have been calculated easily with this big data analytics, and the resource mobilization, that what quantum of resource should be mobilized in which particular area, could have been much more efficient, and probably if it could be done quickly, many more lives could have been saved. You remember that in that particular disaster, for months together, it could not be judged that how many people were present at the time of earthquake in that area, and how many people were actually located, found dead or alive, and how many people were actually persons were actually missing. This could never be calculated till after many months after the earthquake has happened. So this call detail record data that are available with telecom service providers, they can be effectively utilized for designing evacuation routes, for providing exposure maps that are sensitive to regular population movements such as daily or seasonal migrations. Friends, I want to tell you that suppose in today our government do not have any idea that on a particular time of the day in Connaught Place Circle of Delhi, how many people are there? Supposing at 10 o'clock, when it is heavily rushed due to office area, how many people are there present in Connaught Circle? At 12 o'clock in the day or 1 or 2 o'clock, which is the lean hour, how many people are present? At 6 o'clock in the evening, how many people are present in the Connaught Circle? This can find out with this kind of analysis, because tomorrow if some terrorist activity happens or any such disaster happens, to effectively plan the evacuation plan, that from which side how many people can be evacuated or how many people can be taken out, you need to know beforehand that in this particular area how many people at this point of time are generally available. On Saturday and Sunday, how many people are available? On a typical working day, how many people are available? So for any country to get advanced, the lives of its citizen is the most important asset that they need to save. And we can, as our country is advancing and coming into the bracket of advanced nation, it is very much required that for all those 200, 300 or 400 important locations, which is highly populated in particular time, say Rashtra Mata Mandir, or say Saiji temple, or say some other mosque, or some religious places, or say Lajpat Nagar market, or say Bombay, some Chor market area, or Bombay VT station area, at any given point of time, how many people are present on an average day, that we must know beforehand. The planning data should be available, so that tomorrow if any disaster occurs, we should be ready with the kind of resources that would be required to evacuate such area, or to make it habitable, that area. To evaluating the effectiveness of early warning systems, and supposing the administration claims that these many people have already been evacuated from a particular coast of Orissa, because after 24 hours some tsunami or something is going to struck this area. So with the help of mobile dump data, I can tell you that although administration has claimed that 1 lakh people have been evacuated, but actually 10,000 people are still available in that area, and they also need to be evacuated in next 6 hours, because administration may not be able to search each and every house. But today, because every person has a mobile connection, so after evacuation is done, we can still tell you that how many people are still remaining, because of their own reasons. Sometimes people themselves don't want to come out of their area, even though they are warned by the administration that this area, living in this area is dangerous. Still, many people sometimes don't come out of their houses. They just escape in their houses. They just hide out themselves in their houses. So with this kind of data, we can tell the administration correctly that these many 6,000 people are still living in that area, and you need to search them out of their houses within this particular 1 kilometer domain area, and you should take them out before the actual disaster strikes the area. And then assessing the risk of disease outbreaks following a disaster that we have already seen. So friends, this was all about we did for bulk migrant tracking system. Another 5-10 minutes I'll take to explain you the second project that we have done. That was COVID-19 quarantine alert system that I'll just explain to you. This was an indigenous solution designed and developed by Department of Telecom to contain the spread of COVID-19 pandemic. Again, I spearheaded this project as well. The solution was conceptualized, designed, and implemented by a team of ITS officers in DOT with support of Center of Development, CDOT, and telecom service providers. And it's a comprehensive solution for effective monitoring, management, and enforcement of quarantine geofence, a virtual boundary. So friends, what we did is the solution tracks the breach of geofence when the potential or the suspected or confirmed corona positive person move away from his quarantine location and automatically triggers SMS or email alerts to the authorized government agency. So what we have done is that every state government has given us a huge list of people whom they have advised to be in quarantine or who were confirmed corona positive cases. So we track their location, mobile location, through our mobile system. We call this LBS, location-based services, and we have created a virtual boundary that if a person crosses the limit of this 200 meters or 150 meters or 300 meters, his mobile crosses 300 meters location, then alert will be automatically generated, and every 2 hours or 1 hour we were collecting these alerts, and we were sending these alerts automatically to the nodal officer of the state government, and there they were able to contact to those persons. There were call centers, and they were having people to contact that look man, we know that you have crossed your geofencing limits and you have been advised to remain in your house because for quarantine you have to remain in house, and you are not following, we will punish you. So this kind of a system also helped a lot to various states in keeping the quarantine positive, corona positive people, or the people who were advised for quarantine confined to their homes. Because every time they were crossing that geofencing boundary, we were intimating to the authorities, and authorities were in turn talking to these people or sending some health worker to their home to give them warning that it is not good, you are under observation, and you are still moving out of your home. Since this location information was received from telecom network through automated process without any user dependency, periodically over a secure network with due protection of data, because these are sensitive data of location of individual citizen, and these were invoked in a very disaster situation only, in a pandemic situation only these options were exercised, and therefore, but still we try to keep these data very, very secure. Nobody other than the server himself itself was able to know which person is moving in which area. And the real-time location was fetched from the telecom network, analyzed by central quarantine alert services in its big data analytic engine, and following which the periodic alerts related to geofence breaches were generated and sent to the state administration and district authorities for ground level enforcement of quarantines. So friends, you can see here that almost 18 states were utilized our central COVID quarantine alert system. This system was analyzed by by 18 states, and 27 lakh people target were given to us. 27 lakh people who were advised for quarantine because they were corona positive, or because they have come in contact with the corona positive people. So these 27 lakh people were targeted, and more than 18 crore alerts were generated. Whenever they have reached a particular geofence area, some 18 crore such messages were generated, and automatic mail messages alert of quarantine breach were delivered to the respective state government and district administration authorities. We were fetching the data from all the operators. we were analyzing in big data analytics in CQS server, and we were feeding it to the state government through mail and this SMS also. So this complete processing was taking an average of less than 150 seconds for 1 lakh targets. It was integrated with NDMA GIS portal also, from where the central government as well as the state authorities could see the actual movements of the quarantine offenders using the multi-feature layered map. And I mean, on the map, it was possible to plot. We have plotted, given the plot also for any individual person. You can see what was his movement path. Also, that was available. We did it on NDMA GIS portal. We have integrated our data with NDMA GIS portal, and it was possible for the state authorities and district authorities to see that one particular person, if he is breaching, and if he is a habitual breacher, then too the segregation can be done on the basis of home location and present location, and the information related to repeated offenders was also plotted for each target. Considering the capabilities of CQS, NDMA has also encouraged all states to use CQS and GIS portal. So you can see, friends, here, of course, here this is a PowerPoint presentation. I cannot enlarge the picture, but if we expand this on the NDMA side, you could find out that who the individual persons also who were the repeated offenders, that repeated offenders were also segregated, and real-time breach plot of CQS, any individual person of what all places he have, if he has breached his geofencing, that what all the places he has traveled, that also was shown here. Then how many, what was the number of persons who were under the list, that is shown here, and this is also can be seen in this diagram also. Again, the same thing, that these are the NDMA GIS site. These pictures have been taken from NDMA GIS sites. So for every state, you could see that how many repeated offenders were there. This was also possible. So this system, that the features this system was, it's supported for unreachable and switch off targets also. Indigenously designed, developed, and operated. It was very secure, robust, and scalable architecture. Legal sanctity. It had a legal sanctity by under Section 5(2) of Indian Telegraph Act 1885. It was support for both smartphones and feature phones. There was no additional cost involved. We didn't require any single rupee. We didn't spend any single rupee additional. And it was integrated with NDMA GIS portal. And this was a 24/7 alert system. Even in night breaches, then too it was able to locate. It was able to locate and reflect and alert, send an alert to the district and this one authorities. Friends, this project was highly successful. This project also helped 18 state governments to keep these persons, the persons who were advised for quarantine, in to monitor their movement and to advise them and to warn them if they were crossing their geofencing limits. Friends, this project has also received an award from a central government authority for being most innovative intervention for during Corona-19. Thanks. This was all from my side. Now the floor is open for questions. I'm ready to take questions. Raju, can you please ask questions?
Thank you very much, sir, for highlighting on COVID quarantine alert system and bulk migrating tracking system, and how DOT have created migrant and immigrants data. Sir, we will take 3 or 4 questions. Sir, first question is there any study on post lockdown behavior of migrant people, like what percentage of people have returned back to their workstation or the working states?
Dr. Harjeet, actually we are trying to do this, but you are aware that these data, the telecom data is a very sensitive nature of data, and we need permission from the highest authorities in the country to analyze this kind of data. We have received these permissions from the competent authority in a very special situation of corona, when the bulk migration was really very high and government was worried about that. And at this point of time, how many people have returned back, we are seeking we have sought the approval of competent authority to fetch the data and to do this analysis. Our applications, etc., are ready, but we are yet to receive the clearance from the concerned ministries and competent authority for this. But whenever we get that, we will be able to definitely able to do this. What you're saying.
Thank you very much. Dinesh Singh ji, he asked how are ensuring the confidentiality of the mobile address and other data in respect of the individuals? Are we not breaching into one's privacy?
Yes, I should say first, the address of the mobile number we are definitely the exact address we are not taking we into databases, and the mobile area BTS area is generally a BTS source for 1 to 2 kilometer area. So 1 to 2 kilometer area is definitely getting located. The subscriber can be located in 1 to 2 kilometer area, and that is why I said that this is a special circumstance for this Corona-19 situation only, where the location of the people were tracked during the migration phase. That was up to 30th June only. That too, not for all in the entire complete period. And the moment that bulk migration has stopped, these things have also been stopped, and all the data has also been destroyed.
Sir, raised by Venkata Ratnam, from which state highest number of migrants move to their native state? Do you have different categories of labor migrants?
Actually, these are confidential data, and we would not like to share. But yes, definitely you can assess that Gujarat and Maharashtra, where the people are, where the states from where maximum migration has happened, outward migration that we call, and definitely UP being otherwise also the highest populated state. UP was the state where highest number of immigrants came from these places. Finer details, I'm sorry, I cannot share because these are classified data.
Yes, I can understand. So the last question raised by Sunita J. She asks that can such database be created especially for the location which faces natural disaster frequently?
Yes, it can. With the approval of the competent authority, for in states generally Home Secretary and the Chief Secretary are the state government authorities, and at the central level it is the Union Home Secretary and the Union Home Minister. They are the authorities. With their specific approval, these databases can definitely be. Actually, we are very, very conscious in dealing with this data at the server level, also at the data acquisition level, also. We have taken a lot of precautions so that data is not this one. And for individual subscribers, we have never located their data individually. We have tried to create only alerts when they were breaching the particular geofencing. And similarly, we have tried to indicate the total number that 1,000 people have moved, not the specific mobile numbers. 1,000 people have moved, as 700 people have moved, and that to all the data we have destroyed once this process has finished. 30th June. After that, we didn't do anything.
Hope this answer will satisfy the participants' query, and I can see many questions. Use of ham radio in disaster management. I would like to inform you that tomorrow we will be joining by the Sandeep Barua, scientist from Prasar Bharati, who is expert in ham radio. So it's my humble request to ask your queries to him. With that, we have come to end of our technical session, and after presentation from all the speakers, the minimum I can do is to propose a heartiest thank on behalf of NIDM and Department of Technology. Gratitude to Major General Manoj Kumar Bindal, Executive Director, National Institute of Disaster Management, Ministry of Home Affairs, and Shri Chandra Sekhar, DDG, Department of Telecommunication, Ministry of Telecommunication, for his encouragement and support to coordinate this training program. I must mention of appreciation to our speakers, Mr. Anil Kathat, Young Professional, National Institute of Disaster Management, Shri Rajiv Kumar Shukla ji, a Senior Journalist, and Shri Atul Sinha, DDG Admin, Department of Telecommunication, for their presence and the participants with their knowledge and experiences. I also express my deep sense of appreciation to Professor Surya Prakash, Head GMRD NIDM, who is the program chair of this training program, for his support in our every endeavors. Last but not least, I am thankful to GMRD team, Mr. Anil Kathat, Mr. Raju Thapa, coordinator of the training program, Shobhit and Balaji for making this event successful. On behalf of and DOT, we wish participant to safe and healthy life. Please join us tomorrow with the same link. It's my duty and mandate to aware our dear participant to fight against COVID-19 pandemic. Please wash your hand with soap, avoid touching sensitive like eyes, nose, mouth, maintain distance, 2 गज की दूरी और no careless cure. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Kaur.
Thank you.
And thank you, NIDM.
Thank you.
All the participants, kindly join us tomorrow using the same link. So tomorrow will be our last date, and we will share our feedback link and feedback link tomorrow. And also your attendance is automatically recorded, so don't worry about the attendance. Thank you very much. I think Dr. Harjeet Kaur, we can end the meeting. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Rajiv sir.
Thank you, Raj. Thank you, Mr. Thapa. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.